everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Mizuki Arts. Today we're going to be just casually discussing imposter syndrome and all the things that kind of go with it and feed into it. As with all of my videos, I try to take a very casual discussion tone, so I may miss some things and some of the stuff that I talk about may not align with everyone's experience. So if I miss something, definitely comment down below and let me know, because I love to hear about first off, of course, the things that you guys relate to in these types of videos, but also the things that maybe don't quite line up with what you've experienced. First off, for all those unfamiliar, the term imposter syndrome basically means not identifying with your own success or not feeling like you deserve whatever success or praise you may get. For me personally, this sometimes manifests in feeling like compliments I get, especially from family members and friends, don't feel genuine, which is not due to them or anything. It's literally my own problem, my own internal dialogue. I'm not entirely sure why that is, but whenever those kinds of feelings bubble up, I usually just say thank you and move on, because that makes me feel better than dwelling on it. We are interrupting this regularly scheduled program to tell you to go check out my Etsy shop. Since fairies have overtaken my sketchbook and my life, my shop has become the ultimate fairy lover's dream. With products ranging from stickers, pins, and prints to original paintings, I've got it all. All of my stickers are printed on waterproof vinyl, and my prints are on high-quality, durable, matte photo paper. So if you're watching this video, there's probably a fairy that's perfect for you. Whether you're looking for stickers, prints, paintings, or pins, head to www.etsy.com/shop/MizukiArtStudio. One of the early signs, in my opinion, of like imposter syndrome, and this can happen before you're like quote-unquote successful, but maybe when you're first starting out most, at least in my case, I feel like I felt this more when I started out, was like I constantly compared myself to other artists and their skills, especially those that I felt were like, you know, around my point in my artistic journey, like people that were around my skill set and the ways that they were improving or the ways that they were succeeding already and so quickly. And of course, I compared myself as best as I could to like the professionals out there that, you know, had their own artistic journey kind of shared online. Like you could go and see their past art. Whenever that was an opportunity, I compared myself a lot too, and sometimes it made me feel really, really bad about myself. Obviously, it is somewhat necessary to compare yourself to others in the arts. I think it's helpful to discern why you might think one piece of art or another is better, or why you like it more, especially when it comes to like your own versus other people's, because sometimes it can bring to light certain things that you want to change about your own work. But of course, if you get too caught up in this, it can be pretty painful, and I have dealt with this a lot over the years. It's certainly something that I still deal with today, but I try to think of it more like I'm setting myself free of my own limits when I get into this, like into comparison and seeing what I might want to change about my work. Looking at art, whether it be your own or other people's, should always be a good thing, and it really can always be a good thing. It's just all about the mindset and what you hope to take from it. Personally, I think I benefit best from really going in and like studying an artist's work, not just, you know, scrolling past it on Pinterest or whatever, but like really looking at it and deciding what it is that I like about it. Another aspect of this is that when you compare yourself to others, you might develop kind of a picture of what success looks like in your head. And on social media, this can be like really, really super awkward, because you are only getting like the glamorized, finished, edited version of what their success and their journey looked like. I can probably name like 2 or 3 dozen artists that I love and admire, and I think they're so super successful, and maybe they're having like a really hard month right now where, you know, their bills aren't getting paid or whatever, all because they look successful, but maybe they aren't making as many sales or whatever. Everyone has this idea that once you're like quote unquote successful in the eyes of other artists or your fans or whatever, that you're set or whatever. But it's just not like that, I guess. And I say this just because I run a small Etsy shop and YouTube channel, and whatever I tell people that, I've gotten PR boxes and I'm ambassador for certain brands, and I have an online shop and I own a printer, and they might ask me questions about it, and I'm just like, I'm the last person to give advice. I have yet to really even go anywhere financially with, my shop and my YouTube channel and all that. My YouTube channel is not even monetized. Neither is my Instagram, for that matter. I'm far from, I think, what most people consider a successful full-time artist or anything. I really am at this point just like part-time, and even fall into like the hobbyist side of things right now. I am in art school, but I mean, I'm still in school. So and I just wonder how many of the artists that I follow and look up to are in like a very similar situation. It's just kind of interesting to think about, And something else I want to talk about that kind of goes along with comparison and getting a picture of success in your head, but it's a little different, and that is perfectionism. And perfectionism usually is kind of like the spearhead of comparison. Like, you might notice that your art's not perfect and you might think someone else's is. I certainly do this a lot. I make a lot of silly mistakes in my work, and after staring at a piece for like 6+ hours, it gets to me a little bit, like mentally, like I'm going insane. I mean, that's a little dramatic, but like, you get the idea. And then you might go on Instagram or Twitter or TikTok or YouTube or whatever, and you might see the most beautiful, perfect, scanned, colored pencil illustration, or like, perfect oil painting, someone who gets color theory and proportions perfect, someone who, goodness gracious, someone who understands perspective, someone who just gets that, like, seemingly intuitively. Obviously they've put hours and hours of work in, but when you just open an app, it certainly seems intuitive just looking at the image or looking at the reel or TikTok or whatever. For me personally, once I found out there were artists out there who would draw or paint digitally over like a photograph of a piece of paper and some colored pencils, I mean, that was world changing. Just the fact that people don't disclose that sometimes, like, I mean, now obviously I can tell, but back when I was first starting out, I thought people were just getting these perfect, clean images of their perfect, clean illustrations, when in actuality they had just, taken a PNG or a mask or whatever of their illustration and put it over this photograph of a blank piece of paper with some colored pencils in the background. Obviously, people are allowed to present their art however they like, but needless to say, it did affect, little 14-year-old me when I just thought these people were super, super good at keeping their work clean and weren't actually just, being like the slightest bit, I don't know if deceitful is the word, because again, they're allowed to present their art however they want, but I don't know, just not upfront with the technique, so to speak. And really, maybe I was just like an especially stupid 14 to 15-year-old. Maybe no one else in that age range would have fallen for that and been like, oh my gosh, what a perfect photo. I don't know. So do with that information what you will, but I fell for it back then, and it makes me think about how much we just accept what we see on social media as truth or fact, which obviously is not healthy or normal. So when you are in, your perfectionist mindset, try not to compare yourself too much to other people, because they are also feeling the weight of perfectionism and are doing everything in their power to rise to meet that. Especially if you're just a beginner or a hobbyist or what have you, because I mean, I'm trying to do this and make some money, and trying to turn this into a career, but even I feel like sometimes I'm not as professional or put together as I should be, and that will kind of serve as my segue into my final kind of point on this matter, which would be that imposter syndrome can sometimes manifest itself as doubting yourself or doubting your chances at success in the arts. I feel this regularly. I don't feel it all the time, but there is like a constant pressure to reevaluate myself and make sure that I'm moving forward and in a direction that will allow me to have a career as an artist. And I'm certain I'm not alone in that. And I think that anytime you're evaluating yourself, it is easy to kind of fall into the trap of like thinking that there's no future in the arts for you. I definitely have days where I worry about that for sure. Right now I feel pretty good about it, just because I feel like I'm doing everything I can. But there are days where I feel like everything I can is not enough. Everything I can is not as much as everyone else has to offer, and it's certainly not perfect. I guess what I'm getting at is imposter syndrome can start far before you've reached where you want to be. So here are some ways that I personally cope with imposter syndrome, perfectionism, comparison, all of the above. My personal favorite way is to talk to other artists in real life. Online works too, but I think sometimes having a face to actually talk to and actually talk to someone who understands what you're feeling is definitely going to be more helpful. Another thing I like to do is literally just put my phone down and walk away. This is kind of stereotypical. It's very in the brand of it's the damn phones, you know. But there is truth to that. So I like to turn off my phone and go and do literally anything else. I can go and grab something to eat, go get some water, go pet my animals, go take a shower, whatever. Prayer helps too, although sometimes I need a couple minutes to like think about something else before I come back to it and pray or like think about why I'm feeling this way. And finally, I like to turn whatever moment has made me frustrated or doubtful or whatever into something positive. I like to ask myself why I really feel that way, not whatever I think has caused it, but like really what built up that kind of feeling of I'm not going to be successful, or I'm not successful, or I don't deserve my success, or whatever. In my experience, I feel this kind of intense imposter syndrome whenever I'm having a hard drawing day, especially if my numbers on my social media happen to be up for that day, or sometimes when it's especially low. So on these days, I like to reflect upon myself and focus on other things. Sometimes that means going and scanning some of the paintings that I haven't archived for prints, or taking photos of paintings, just doing anything that kind of doesn't require as much creative energy. Oftentimes that means video editing too. But I have found that video editing and thumbnail design and all that does take more of my dedication and focus than something like just scanning paintings or whatever. On my less creative and focused days, I just don't design very good thumbnails and all that. Obviously, that's pretty obvious because thumbnail is like a very like graphic designy type of thing that requires a lot of knowledge of like color theory and all that. And on my days where I'm struggling creatively, it's kind of like that knowledge leaves me. So forcing myself to try and do that, something that I take like very seriously and have a lot of fun with on my more creative and energized days, does give me a bit of a hard time. But since I know that about myself, I try to pace myself and work around it. And that's just how dealing with imposter syndrome is. There will be days where you feel better about yourself and about your path creatively, and there will be days where it feels harder and you just have to do your best to kind of combat those feelings. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed discussing imposter syndrome and all the things that come with it with me. Hopefully I didn't have too poor of an audio quality. I did notice some of the clips were pretty awkward sounding. And I really do apologize for that. I'm trying my best to keep it together, but I think I just need like a new microphone at this point, which is frustrating for sure. Primarily because I only got this microphone like 2 years ago, and it's already wearing out. But I hope you guys feel a little better after watching this video, because if you've been dealing with imposter syndrome, then of course you know it's pretty rough, and maybe now you have some ways to help deal with it. Real quick before I go, I want to give a huge shout out to my Ko-fi supporters, Ashley, Savvy, and Tiffany. Thank you guys so much for your support. It means the world to me and allows me to keep making videos like this one. Thank you so much. If you want to join my Ko-fi page, there will be a link in the description box below for all these benefits and more. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you guys next time. Bye!